So what was like the application and the screening process like?
That is probably one of my favorite questions so far, because I think that there needs to be a little bit more education for donors in that aspect. And that's why whenever I have a conversation with another woman, whether it's family, friends, or just a woman I've met in passing, because you get into this field and I like to joke that it becomes your whole personality. It's all you like to talk about. And so I've had wonderful conversations with women in passing. And I always like to explain to them how involved the screening process is, starting at the beginning with the application. I always explain to anyone that I'm encouraging to apply to ensure that if they pass those preliminary phases of the application, to ensure that they set aside at least 45 minutes to an hour to complete that full application. I prepare them for all the types of questions that they're going to have to answer so that they can collect all of the relevant information ahead of time. The screening process is very extensive and it covers, medical history, family history, genetic testing, psychological evaluations, and a lot of personal questions that oftentimes donors aren't always prepared to have to answer. It's designed to ensure that donors are healthy and prepared, but it can feel really intense because you're essentially sharing every detail of your medical and personal background. Going into my first cycle, I was fortunate enough that I worked in the field and had a well-rounded understanding of the process, which I know isn't always the case for everyone. General steps include, once you've gotten through the screening process and you're getting into, the cycle and the retrieval, it's going to include the hormone injections, the monitoring appointments, the retrieval procedure, but it's hard to fully grasp what it feels like until you experience it all.
So what was your first cycle? What was your first journey like?
The physical part was somewhat manageable. The hormonal changes, the emotional side is something that I don't think I had fully anticipated. And it's important that donors understand that that can also change from cycle to cycle. It's not just different from person to person. It's so different from cycle to cycle for each individual person, right? So I know donors who have gone through the process multiple times and have had multiple cycles without incident. Those are like the unicorns that we'd all love to be like, right? And they feel amazing from start to finish. They have really no complaints. But then I also know others, myself included, who go through the process and they could be one and done, or every cycle is completely different. My first cycle, I would describe as having been my best cycle leading up to retrieval. I remember having even joked at one point that I wanted to stay on these hormone injections permanently. I felt great. I was happy as a clam all the way leading up until retrieval. It was like 2 days before retrieval, I did my trigger shots. And then the very next day, the day before my retrieval, I started feeling everything, in my lower abdomen. And I don't think I was fully prepared for that recovery, for sure.